Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke Payson, and I am joined by first-time guest of the show, Logan Pryor. Logan, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
It is great having you on the show. Not only are you a first-time guest of the show, you're a little under a month away from your debut, making your debut in MMA at Brawl in the Berg 15 for 247 Fighting Championships at the Monroeville Convention Center. So it was just announced a couple days ago, and I was so excited to get you on the show. Before we talk about your debut, let's talk a little bit about some of the martial arts you've already practiced prior to now. I know that you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu through Stout BJJ, which is a great gym in the Pittsburgh area. A lot of people know them. And also you've had some Muay Thai experience. So let's jump in there. What got you into jiu-jitsu? How long have you been training it? What are some of the highlights of your jiu-jitsu career so far?
So, what got me into jiu-jitsu is I was doing Muay Thai for about like 5 years straight. Just nothing but that. I got into that when I was stationed overseas in Japan, and there was no jiu-jitsu, so I just focused on that. And I kind of burnt myself out doing just Muay Thai, so I decided to do some jiu-jitsu, just kind of taking a break from that. And there hasn't been really any highlights in my jiu-jitsu so far. I guess getting my blue belt has been my biggest highlight. I competed in my first grappling competition earlier this year, and I wanted to compete in another grappling contest, but it was too close towards the fight, and they give you so many days you're allowed to. You can't
Mm,
compete in another combat sport. So, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't really win anything, but I figured I'll see what I got next year if I want to get another fight first, depending on how well this one goes, or if I want to do another jiu-jitsu tournament. But another jiu-jitsu tournament in the future is something I'd love to do.
okay. Well, obviously your jiu-jitsu career is still pretty short-lived. You're not quite deep into it, but congratulations on the blue belt. And those tournaments can be a great learning experience, even if you're not necessarily winning. Let's jump back. Since you said you were stationed in Japan, I'm going to guess that was with Marines. So that would be my guess. Were
It
you?
was
Go
it
ahead.
was with the Navy.
The Navy. Well, thank you for your service. I know Marines do a lot in Okinawa, so I figured you might have been over there. What what was your experience? 5 years in Muay Thai is a lot of experience. Was it all training? Did you take some fights? And what did you like about Muay Thai?
It was pretty good. 5 years. I did compete. I'd say it was about a 50-50, record I had.
Hmm.
And what I loved about it, I think it's the most complete out of all the stand-up arts because you also have like stand-up grappling aspect when it comes to the
Hmm.
clinch. There's elbows, there's knees.
Yep.
Um, I did win a WKA tournament a few years ago, back in I want to say 2018, or no, towards the end of 2017. I'm pretty sure. But to be fair, there was only one other guy in my bracket, so
Sure.
it's
Sure.
either win or yeah. One of the guys was like, "Hey, you went either way, you get second place," which I would have thrown it in the trash.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I
Because
just
if you had
got
lost, you
second
could
place,
say that you were the
second
runner up
place,
for the championship. Yeah. But that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit
yeah,
of
that'd be
Muay
lying to
Thai.
myself.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of Muay Thai experience. For those that don't know, it's typically referred to as the martial arts of eight limbs, and you kind of ran down. It's got the punching and kicking, but also the knees and elbows, and ends up being a lot of diverse setups. You pointed it out perfectly how there's vertical wrestling, and in MMA, there's a lot of that vertical wrestling up against the cage and in the clinch. So what what led you to get to the point of combining the Muay Thai experience with the BJ experience to actually go into MMA? How long have you been wanting to make that transition, and what makes now a good time?
Well, I wanted to do MMA years ago, ever since I was aware that was a thing. And my parents never wanted me to fight. They were okay with me wrestling, because they're saying you're not getting hit, even though I've got more injuries from grappling than I have from striking. And but I was doing Muay Thai for a while, and I was happy doing that. Then I took a break, and I started doing jujitsu. And I just figured, I was itching to get back to competing. It was just in the back of my head. I figured, well, I always wanted to do MMA. I've got some jiu-jitsu experience. I've got a lot of Muay Thai experience. Why can't I combine the two right now? Do it while I'm still young enough. And so it's more of a bucket list sort of thing, I guess.
Sure. Well, it makes a lot of sense. Like you were saying, a lot of things have to come together, combining some of the sports you've already been in. And for MMA, I think a lot of experience in Muay Thai gives a decided advantage in the stand up and striking, particularly the clinch up against the cage, the wall work, and of course the open striking. In novice rules, striking to the ground is not allowed, and head kicks and knees and elbows aren't allowed. But even with that long list, punches are, and we've seen amateur fights have clean knockouts because a good punch is a good punch, regardless of whether or not those other things are limited. Given your upcoming opponent, how do you want to see the fight going? Are you calling a knockout? Or are you getting in there to try to have a certain result? Or kind of what are your thoughts? You're fighting Tanner Cahill, who's 1-1 and has Division I wrestling experience, so obviously comes in with a lot of grappling experience himself.
Well, I'm not going to call it right now. It's my first fight. I feel like if I call it how I see it, honestly, if I say what's on my mind and I lose, I'll look like a real asshole. Sorry if that's not allowed. So what I'd like to do is I think I'm just going to be able to keep it standing. I think I've seen some of his takedown attempts. I think I can definitely know how to sprawl, and I can use like say clinch work and Muay Thai. Like I've had guys that try to do takedowns who are primarily Muay Thai guys, and you're good in the Muay Thai clinch. It's a lot to handle, but
Sure.
I would like to keep it on the feet. I wouldn't like to. If I sprawl, I'm not going to try and go for a guillotine or anything like that unless I am very certain I can get it.
Sure.
So I'll try to keep it standing as much as possible, but I'm not going to have him have me on my heels the whole time either. I'm not going to have him back me up the entire time. If anything, I'd like to get him to back up too, but I'm not going to try and, I guess, elaborate much further than that. It's
Sure.
probably not
Sure.
the wisest thing.
Well, I appreciate your response. I think it was very tactful in being being a little restrained, because what you're thinking in your head as a fighter needs to be pretty clear cut. And I think it's wise to, going into your first fight to choose your words. It's interesting for any fighters out there. I think there is a disadvantage at times to go to a guillotine off someone's wrestling attempt. Only we've seen it at the highest level in the UFC and Bellator. Only primarily because if they defend that, now you're in full guard against somebody who's probably pretty good at being in top control. So just the fact that you have layers to your game plan, and sprawl control does not necessarily mean that you have to shoot a guillotine. Obviously, there might be a situation where one presents itself that's too good to pass up. Another quick thing on guillotine, you'll see, and this is obviously an older name now, but you'll see the Diaz brothers, if they got a guillotine off a wrestling attempt, off a shot, they almost always got into guard, and then before they tried to finish it, rolled over into top guillotine mount. That way, if the guillotine slipped out, they were already in mount, and if it worked, then it's an even worse guillotine. So that's something that I've seen in more jiu-jitsu, but also in MMA, that if you were to go for a guillotine against somebody who has a lot of grappling experience, using the guillotine to roll into top control, top mount, can be very strategically good too. So,
Yeah,
really,
there's a really good sweep from like the guillotine. Like you
it's a
feel like
very good
nailing.
sweep. Yeah, very good sweep
Yeah,
from the guillotine. But obviously, a lot of times, understandably, guys get so fixated on squeezing. And there's a fine line in the guillotine, anybody that does it knows, where you can be squeezing and squeezing and nothing's really happening. You're not actually making it worse for your opponent. There's some ways to really make it lock in. So the fact that your mind's going to what would work well for you is obviously good. We don't want to get into too many details since you're under a month out from your fight. Just the fact that you're looking to apply a more Muay Thai focused attack in MMA, I think can always be very excited.
Yeah, with wrestlers, because we got a few good wrestlers at my gym, and
Yes.
more I train more up in the Zealy location, and we
Mm,
got a couple guys like they're wrestling like the kind of pressure they can apply and the athleticism. Just, I mean, it's really hard to pull stuff off in the guard
mm.
from there. It's a lot. So I'm not looking to try and play guard with him or try and do something in the guard, anything crazy like that. I'll stick
Sure.
to what I know. I think I have a strength over him.
Yeah. And that's what I think makes MMA the most exciting martial arts because strengths and weaknesses really get played out. You know, in a pure Muay Thai game, you might have a slightly stronger clinch or slightly stronger sweeps or slightly stronger teeps. But in the Muay Thai world, a lot of people are going to be strong in those areas, just like in Jiu-Jitsu. People can have a really strong Jiu-Jitsu game, but it's how it applies to MMA. It's what makes MMA so exciting. Well, Logan, it's been great getting to chat with you. Why don't you give a little shout out to why friends, family, strangers should come out and catch your debut at the Monroeville Convention Center? Because I know you're selling tickets. People can always get tickets directly from you or from your gym. And that's always an important feature. And if people are coming to support you and are buying them online, a nice friendly reminder to choose your name um, on the drop down when they go to check out. But what would you say is a reason why people should come out and watch you fight December 17th at the Memorial Convention Center?
I'd say because they won't just get to see me fight; they'll see a bunch of other amazing guys fight, guys who I train with, fighting that card. So it's a good time. You get to see not just me fight, but a bunch of other tough dudes fighting that card as well. And hey, it might be really cool. You get to see me kick some ass, or might get beat up, and we can both later on. So either way, good time.
There it is. Well, way to put out a great reason. And actually, I love the focus on the fact that gyms often have more than one fighter. So that's a great thing to remind people. For Stout Pittsburgh, going to have more than one fighter. The Mat Factory is going to have more than one fighter. Usually, the MMA Academy of Pittsburgh has more than one fighter. Sometimes India Dojo, that's your opponent from India Dojo. A lot of times, you end up with 3 or 4 fighters from the same team, and that just makes it all more exciting for the crowd. So thanks for taking time out to come on, and I can't wait to see what happens in your debut fight. Thanks a lot. You've been listening to Logan Paul,
Logan Paul.
Logan Pryor, Logan
Logan Paul.
Pryor
Maybe this will
on
get more
MMA
news.
Fancast. You take care, bud.
You too, man.
All right, you got it. All right, bye-bye.